Alright, chapter 5.2 is still about dividing. Yesterday we looked at some long division. I just actually started this video and messed up. Let's see if I can get it right this time and not waste my time again. But do not forget that I think that's called the divisor, goes on the outside, the dividend goes on the inside, so y to the third minus y squared minus 22y minus 4 goes on the inside, and that our main job was to make the front leading terms match, so we know we need a y squared. You then multiply, getting y to the third plus 4y squared. You then switch everything around, getting rid of that, getting negative 5y squared, and then bring down your minus 22. To make these leading terms match, we learned that we have to do a negative because the signs are different, 5 and a y because you need a y there. Multiplying those out, you get negative 5y squared minus 20, which from there you switch all your signs, getting negative 2y. Sorry, that should be a y there and a y there. But negative 2y minus 4, and the last thing you do is recognize that you need to subtract 2 or use a negative 2, which makes negative 2y minus 8, which you switch, getting 4 as your remainder, so plus 4 over y plus 4. And I know we did not do it that way on the computer yesterday, but you will do it on today's assignment because I actually found a better version of it in the Math Excel that we're using. So again, you will do it this way because this is the official way you do it. But again, hopefully you just understand that what's going on. But again, the bottom line of this is that you do need to make sure you know this process, because today we are going to look at two more types. The first is called synthetic division. It is a little bit easier whenever you can use it, but it works when you are dividing by a binomial. So let's look at real fast with the same example in terms of what we would do. And again, it's not hard. It's just something you'd have to practice and get down. But we are going to use the same exact answer or same exact question just to show you what happens. The first thing you do to do synthetic division is you recognize you're dividing by a binomial. And so you take this thing and say, if I want y minus 40 equals 0, that means that y is equal to negative 4. And so therefore you put negative 4 into what I call a box. And you take all the coefficients and you write them down. Again, if it's the third, you must have everything there. So 1 for y to the third, negative 1 for y squared, negative 22 for y, and negative 4. You then draw a line and you separate the last part, which obviously represents your remainder. So this would represent the coefficients of my answer, and this will be my remainder. You start out by bringing the first number down, and you simply multiply and add. So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. That makes negative 5. That gives me 20. That gives me negative 2. This gives me a positive 8 and an answer of 4, which when you look at it, this is your remainder. Again, if you start out with y to the third, that means that this is x to the second minus 5x minus 2 plus 4 over whatever you're dividing by, which is y plus 4. So again, synthetic division will get you the answer a lot faster, but the only thing about synthetic division is that it only really works with this type of binomial. I will show you what happens whenever there's a number in front of that, because you really don't want to use it for those. But if you're dividing by x plus 5, a y minus 4, a z plus 3, it works. But again, there's not a lot of not a lot of times where you really want to try to use synthetic division unless the numbers are nice. But since you're in Algebra 2, you're probably not going to see that. The process again is pretty straightforward. Again, identify your box value by setting the divisor, which is the second value, equal to 0. List all the coefficients of the dividend. Remember to cover everything. Don't leave any powers out. Bring down the first value. Multiply. Bring down the value. Bring down the value. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add until you've got everything done. But again, it's best learned by practice more than anything else. So we're going to spend more time doing that than talking about this in your notes. It also has other uses. It's called the remainder theorem. So if you were to take your calculator and evaluate f of 4 for the same function, again, notice this has the same numbers if you look up at the example, because I just put mine up. But if you look up at the examples up there, you have y to the third minus y squared and all that. If I were to plug in negative 4 for my problem, so parentheses negative 4 to the third minus negative 4 squared minus 22 times negative 4 minus 4. I get the answer of 4. So again, if I was to take this and plug this in, my answer is 4. And again, I will say I did this all for a reason, so we could kind of get a more higher power understanding. Look at the remainder of what we just did above, and what you notice, I guess I will bring this back, but what you will notice is that your remainder was 4. And so what that means is you can actually use synthetic division to, because here's the number that we plugged in, which was negative 4, and we got the answer of 4. So you can actually use synthetic division to evaluate values if you don't, or actually just to evaluate any kind of polynomial. Don't know exactly where that might be used, but again, it does help, and it is something that you're going to be asked to do. So for example, you'll be asked on the test to evaluate this question to find P of 4. And so what you will do is, again, you'll put the 4 in what I call the box. Take your coefficients 1, 6, negative 7, and 6. Your remainder, which is what our answer is going to be, goes here, and again, simply bring it down and multiply. Bring it down and multiply. Bring it down, which is 33. Multiply, which I think is 2, carry the 1, 132, and I think that's 138. Let's check it. Let's hope I didn't do anything crazy. But again, if I was to take this and put 4, so 4 to the third, I'm going to be lazy here to get done. 6 times 3 squared minus 7 times 3 plus 6. Of course I got it wrong. 1 to 4, 10 to 40, 33 times 4 is, yeah, I think it's 138. I don't think I messed up. I think I probably just typed it in wrong, so I'm going to do it again off camera. And 5 minutes later, here's what I had. I think I forgot to do the 6 earlier, but 138 does match. So again, as you can see, it helps you out whenever you're doing your work there. It also works here, and I think you might have to do this on one of these things on your homework. So just to try to check your number skills. Again, if you're evaluating for it, you don't switch the number in the box. You just take the number and put it right in. Coefficient, 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 and coefficient. Draw your line. Here is going to be your remainder. Bring down 3. 1/3 times 3 is 1. This adds up to be 0. 1/3 times 0 is 0. 12 plus 0 is 12. 1/3 times 12, if you remember, multiply to the top, that'll be 4. And you end up with the answer of 5. So again, your answer here is what your answer would be if you were to evaluate it for it. Now, synthetic division does work for the following types of problems. So let's set this up real quick, even though we're not going to go. Again, because it's here, we're not going to use 2. We're going to use the negative 2, because what we have learned so far is that every time we use a number from parentheses, we use the opposite. And so we would put an 8, and don't forget you would need a 0 because there's no x squared, and then a negative 4, and a 3, and you would go from there. Again, we're not going to do it, but I just want to make sure you get it set up, because that's the key thing of it. And if you were going to do this one, again, you would take x minus 6, turn that into a 6, put in the box, with 1 for the fourth, 0 for the third, 2 for the second, 0 for the x, and negative 5 there, with your remainder going there. So again, synthetic division works for those. I would not try it for these, because if you were to look up or Google how to answer this using synthetic division, it's not as simple as just setting this equal to 0. You actually have to have x by itself. So what you would have to do with every term is divide it by 3 and turn this into x to the fourth, or 5/3 x to the third, minus or plus 1/3 x squared, plus 7/3 x, plus 0, divided by x plus 1/3. You would then have to put a negative 1/3 in the box, and go through the numbers of 1, negative 5/3, sorry, no comma, 1/3, 7/3, 0, and it would work out, but it's just a really complex thing. And so the best option on that, if you ask me, would be long division, because then I would just say you need 1x or 1 times 3x's and work your way through it. And again, it's relatively less complex than what's going on there. The second type of division we're talking about today, which gives us 3 different types, is even more simple. It's just division by a monomial. Remember that a monomial is one term. This utilizes the division property of exponents to simplify, and I am going to write it out the way that you would actually view it whenever you do it. However you get to the answer, just make sure you go safely. But if you're dividing everything by 4y squared, again, there's no plus or minus here, so all we have to do is 16y to the 4th over 4y squared plus negative 32y to the 3rd over 4y squared plus 8y second over 4y squared. And now you just do 3 property parts. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 minus 2 makes y squared. Negative 32 divided by 4 is negative 8. 3 minus 2 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Y squareds cancel out. That would be all you have to do. But again, with a monomial, you do not need long division. You do not need synthetic division. I don't even think you can use it, because I think it would actually make things more complex than what they need to be. And then one more real quick. Again, if you're dividing this by a monomial, we would simply take the 12m to the 3rd over 3m squared. We would put the 6m squared over 3m squared, and we would put 15m over 3m squared. Again, this would turn into 4m, because 12 divided by 3 is 4 with 1 m left over. This would turn into a positive 2 with no m's. And the funny thing here is, yes, this is a 5, but there would be a m on the bottom if you look here, because there's more m's on the bottom. And so you put 5 over m would be your answer there. So again, you've just seen 3 types of division. The most consistent one is long division. Synthetic division will make your life a little easier if you can do it, because it does move a little faster. And then, like I said, if you are dividing by a monomial, be sure that you use this mode of doing your division. You could even in your head go 12 divided by 3 is 4 with 1 m left. 6 divided by 3 is 2 with no m's. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and the m would be on the bottom. However you would do it, that's fine. But again, you just have to now train yourself to view out of the 3 different types and make sure you use the proper one. You will also have some x squared dividing on your homework today. So again, good luck. Get to your work so we can actually get some practice.